And Neil, what would you say some quick wins for people spending millions? So I suppose I've just told you the maths. If we're going to spend $1 trillion, and I think it's nearly 50% of that's going to Google. Google are getting a lot of money. How can you help people save money?
Hell of a lot of money. I definitely agree with what Thomas is saying as well about using CSS. We work with a lot of e-commerce retailers, and I actually had a chat with Thomas yesterday and went away and looked through our data to see who is and who isn't using a CSS provider. And we find about 50% of our retailers are and 50% aren't. Some of those are spending in excess of $1 million a month. So you're looking at what, $200,000 a month wasted potentially by not using a CSS. So definitely massive savings on that side. From our side that we have, I guess, more experience in, we would always recommend that people are auditing campaigns for ad fraud and for invalid traffic. Not to get, salesy on that, but it can be quite extraordinary just how much traffic that you're paying for is not legitimate and is not valid. So we would say always audit what you're paying for, make sure that you are getting what you're paying for, especially if you're running any sort of app advertising or any sort of display advertising. We regularly come across campaigns that see upwards of 90% invalid traffic on display and apps. It's huge numbers. And you can imagine if you're getting 91% invalid traffic on a display campaign and you're breaking even on it, imagine how much more profitable that could be if you actually audited that correctly and filtered out and removed the invalid sources of traffic, the dodgy websites that are driving display traffic to you, the dodgy ads, that side of things. It doesn't need to be a difficult process. Look through the analytics, look for anything that jumps out as unusual, run placement reports, check those to make sure, are these the actual sites that we want to appear on, and so on. And so it really doesn't have to be a difficult process. And we find a lot of marketers are actually quite scared of doing this because it can be very eye-opening. You see what you've wasted, but if you're then going back to report that to either a client or your CFO or your marketing director and say, oh yeah, sorry, I've not checked this for 2 years, but actually we wasted 4 million quid over the past 2 years. Like, it's not a good look, is it? But the longer that goes on, the worse that becomes. So we would say you're being transparent with it and saying that we are starting to look into this. This is what we're finding, auditing those campaigns regularly. It can result in huge cost savings. Worst case scenario, it takes you a half an hour on a standard campaign, and okay, you don't find anything. Great. It's half an hour loss, but you could make massive savings out of it.